Good morning, everybody. This is Frank Messina, and I'd like to welcome you to the February 18th meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission. Before we start, we have a number of notes that we have to read. Please note, this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chairman. Seeing none. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29, 2023 signing of Acts of 2023, extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law 30A-20 until March 31st, 2025. This meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may doing so by calling the phone number 508-945-4410. Conference ID 174-449-709 #, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link posted on the agenda. In the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. Okay, the first order of business is the roll call. First of all, Bob Lear, I believe, Bob, you're online?
I'm online, thank you.
Present? Okay. Nancy Barr?
Here.
Stephanie Hamilton?
Here.
Sandy Porter?
Here.
Janet Tennyson?
Here.
Robert Stevens?
Here.
And Robert Wilson?
Here.
And the chair is here. So we have a full component and full, all members participating. Robert Wilson is our new alternate. Bob, you will not be voting because we have all 7 members present. I would just notice for the members of the commission and also for the public, we do have one alternate position open. For those of you who may be interested in serving on the Historical Commission, we certainly would welcome you. We certainly need someone with maybe architectural experience. I think that would be good. Okay. We have hopefully a quick meeting. We have one hearing, but let's dispense with the meetings quickly. Annie's not here, but I would like to thank her. She did a nice job.
I have something on the minutes.
Yes. Okay. The minutes of February 4th. Any motions? Or? Yes.
On page 2, 13th line from the bottom.
You need to.
13th line from the bottom, it says, Mr. Ahern said felt the process.
Okay. Got that? Okay, you may not have heard the first thing that Stephanie said. She was referring to page 2 of the minutes. Any other corrections, comments? I would just comment that Annie covered 2 issues rather well, which the commission, you might want to keep these minutes, quite honestly, is on page 2, the issue of a referral of 75 Hallway to the Cape Cod Commission, and we can talk more about that later. And also the issue of rules and regulations, which we'll talk more about it. So I think she summarized our discussions very well, which would be helpful as we proceed. Okay, we had a motion to accept the minutes, and a second?
Second.
Okay.
Did you move?
I didn't move.
I move the
Oh,
acceptance
Steph,
of
did you
the
make a
minutes.
motion?
You made the motion.
No,
Did
I
you
didn't
make a motion?
I made a correction.
Okay.
I move that we accept the minutes of February 4th.
I second.
Okay, here we go. All right, no other comments or corrections? Bob?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, very good. As I said, the only item on our agenda is, or new business, is one hearing. It's application 25005, 70 Sears Point Road. And I was delighted to see this application. Having known the Ecker family for many years, this is one home which I did not need to make a site visit, because I spent a lot of time there with Debbie, and quite honestly, even before we begin here, I'm glad this is an application to make a relatively straightforward change to this house. We've lost 2 houses on this Sears property, and I think it was 30 Sears Point Road was demolished and replaced, and then also of another address that we had also another home of the same era, which was completely demolished and replaced. So having said that, this property does have a Form B. It is not listed in the National Register and has not been before the commission before. But briefly, the home built in 1940. So Leslie, why don't we just go ahead and give us a comment? Well, why don't we just short circuit a little bit? The first item of business really for us, quite honestly, is to have a determination relative to the historical significance of the house. So my question to you, do you as the applicant, are not questioning that the home is not historically significant, are you?
I am not.
Okay. Sorry, why don't you introduce yourself quickly?
Hello, Leslie Schneeberger Collective Architect for Susan and Greg Shorten.
Again, as I said, there is a Form B. It's a property built in 1920s. A number of homes which were built on the Sears property. Sears, a famous architect, and of course, it's called Sears Point. There's a lot of history from the family and the homes that were being built on that property. And if you sail out Stage Harbor, for those of us who do, you get a chance to look at those beautiful homes. So, any other members of the commission have any other comment relative to the fact that this is not historically significant? Okay, why don't we get a motion to dispense with that very quickly?
I move that the Chatham Historical Commission finds that the building located at 70 Sears Point Road, Chatham, Massachusetts, is historically significant because it is in whole or in part 75 years old, and it is associated with one or more historical persons or events and possesses architectural value or significance in terms of period, style, method of construction, or association with an historically prominent architect or builder.
Second.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other comment? Any member of the public wish to speak to the motion? Seeing none? Bob?
Yeah, I vote yes.
Okay, Nancy?
Yes?
Steph?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, why don't you give us an overview of what you're planning to do?
Of course. Thank you very much. I'm going to give you a little bit of background and how this came about. The previous owners, who you've mentioned, actually hired us to look at some changes to the house because they were frustrated as it was on the market that the majority of buyers were looking to tear the house down. It's an amazing location, and most people looked at it for its dock and what they could get, maximizing views and everything else on the property and maximizing footprint. So we did a series of studies to show prospective buyers that the house could be renovated in a way that it still could be modernized. It could still have a great capacity for a large family. It's a 5-bedroom home, but without tearing it down or ruining the spirit of the house. Full disclosure, the owners who purchased it are looking at some further renovations to the main part of the house. That's just a much larger project that we have to take our time on. As I said in the narrative, the owners were very excited about this house. They love historic properties and had actually just recently finished restoring a home in Harwichport. But this came on the market, they saw it, and fell in love immediately. They did not realize that there was mold in the garage, and so unfortunately have already started in the lower part interior, taking all the drywall out, taking all the insulation out, getting all the mold out of it. So that was an impetus to say, let's get this first part that they had been planning on doing done. everything's stripped down, it wouldn't make sense to put it back together. So we looked at the dormer that you can see. So what it's entailing first, let me step back one step, is on the garage, which was built, I believe, in '97. There are two gable dormers, which are slightly mimicking the very small gable dormers on the historic portion, front portion of the house. It's removing those and removing, sorry, I forgot. There we go. And removing a little bit larger portion of the roof in order to get a dormer that allows for a little more room, actually a considerable amount more room in what is now a very small bedroom and bathroom. It also is taking out the window here on the side that's facing back to the main part of the house. The reason for that is twofold. One, what we're putting bathroom-wise in there is sort of in the way of that window, as well as it's considering potential future opportunities, and we didn't want to put a new window into that area. It's looking at the house. Christina, if you wouldn't mind going forward. Again, this is just seeing with demolition. When you enter the property, you see the side of the gable dormer that would be removed. Perfect, thank you. So this is the proposed dormer. We did a study of 6 different options with the dormers, some being Nantucket, some being the gable, and ultimately what we found, even with the first, the gables that are on there right now, they are different than the gables on the main part of the house that are so cute and little. They're taller, they have more of a pediment, and all of that is because that's how you get headroom in that space. And you get egress windows in that space. So rather than continue that, enlarge that further, as well as a struggle we were having with, you can see how you have the garage doors and this, as far as centerings, the existing dormers, one is centered on this garage door and then the other is mirroring it and kind of in a very strange place. So we found the best solution was to not try and reconcile that and not try and mimic that, and instead to do a shed dormer. It seems to be very in keeping with the age and species of the garage being a back house area. And then we wanted to maximize the amazing view that they have. So we put in as many windows as we could, also to make it not too overwhelming and large, and did 6/1 so that there is a lot more light and a lot more view through those windows. I also should add, I know at least Susan, it says Greg on the screen, and it may be both of them. I know at least Susan, the owner, is.
Can you say that again?
Susan, the owner, is online.
The owner?
Yes.
Oh. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
I think I prefaced it by saying I know your house very well. I spent a lot of time there with the Eckers. Did you know the Eckers at all?
I did not personally know, but I did have the pleasure of meeting Ellen. She came to the house when we closed, and we walked through it, and we talked about all the memories and the history in the house, and she gave me a pamphlet of everything that her mom wrote down, which was very meaningful. And, I talked to her about what we wanted to do to the house, and she was very excited about coming back and seeing. She said the house needs to be modernized and updated, and she was very excited to see the potential, and very excited that we would not be knocking the house down.
Well, I can assure you that Debbie, who was a force to be reckoned with in the town of Chatham and also in her home in Florida, is probably, it's a trite expression, but looking down and feeling pretty good about the fact that her homestead. This family, by the way, the Hoyt-Ecker family, is also the same family that owns the Stage Harbor Lighthouse.
I know. They told me all about that. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
And I personally would like to know more about the house. It's funny because there's some conflicting. Her mom left a picture, and on the picture, it's, and I'd love to share. I mean, maybe you've seen it. It's a picture of women getting off the dock, and it looks like the dock is in the same position because you see the lighthouse in the background.
Right.
But what they're wearing looks like they're from the 1920s. So when you said the 1920s, but yet the house is built in the 1940s, I know there's some more back history on the property that I would love at another point to be able to learn more about it.
Yeah, well, it is a lovely house, and as I was saying earlier, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I'm going on here, I shouldn't be. We lost a couple of houses on Sears Point, and I'm glad to see it's being done. Okay, got to put that aside now. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to let the other members of the commission, ask any questions or comments before we proceed. I have a little bit of concern, but I'm going to let it go for now. Let's start down the end there. Sandy?
Hi, Leslie. Always good to see you.
You too.
I do like these dormers as opposed, I'm not a fan of doghouse dormers. So the shed dormer, I like. You're maintaining and you're keeping the chimneys. It doesn't, I don't actually have an objection at all. Nice job, nice presentation.
Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you for preserving the house. I don't have anything relevant.
No, I think it's not going to change the historical significance at all, these improvements, so I have no questions.
Thank you, Janet.
I generally agree. I'm actually more of a doghouse dormer than a shed dormer person, and I appreciate
talk.
your explanation on the differences, because on first glance you say, well, they're very mirrored. To me, it does make a difference that it's a 1997 garage added on to a house that the form says between 1910 and 1930. So I know that I don't know if you have any more specifics from the family in terms of the actual date of building, but it seems that there is a period, and it could be earlier than 1940. So I'll look forward to seeing future things that really do impact the original historic structure. But for now, I don't have any major concerns about the changes to the garage.
Thank you.
Robert or Bob, either one, Robert?
Go ahead, Bob. Okay. Yeah, I also knew Debbie Ecker pretty well, and I visited them in Bureau.
You need to turn on your mic.
There you go.
Thank you for the reminder. I also knew the Eckers pretty well. White and Debbie visited them in Vero, and Debbie, in fact, in her will gave my wife a painting of a boathouse, and Susie didn't feel she should keep it. She gave it back to the family. But we were very impressed with Debbie. When she entered the room, the intelligence level went up just a little bit. But that's all by way of background. And I do like both doghouse style and shed dormers, but I also like symmetry. And I have, when you go up to the drive and see this house, it's a quintessential New England house, very appealing to the eye. And I overlap these two drawings. And one is symmetric to my eye. Sorry about my shaking hands. And the other is not so symmetric. And that's the only thing that, to me, it takes it down just a little notch. It's like a mole on a cheek or something. But they say every beautiful woman should have a mole, but whatever. So it takes it, like, for me, it takes it from a 10 to like an 8 or 9. It's really super house still. And if you drove up, if this were finished and you drove up the drive, you'd say fabulous. But seeing the symmetric version, I just like it better. That's the only thing I would say. I think we discussed briefly when I visited the house whether you could put that shed in the back, and it just wasn't possible, so.
Okay. Robert?
Really no comment, except that I love the chimney, and that's not a subject for today.
That is not.
Well, Robert, thank you. It's exactly how I feel.
Is that right?
The symmetry, and I guess the question, I guess maybe I should let the other members go first before I speak, because they can convince me otherwise. But I understand your logic, Leslie, but the existing house, with those two small dormers, somehow I would imagine they wanted more room there, but they don't, and that's good, I guess. But those small dormers, and as Robert indicated, there's a certain symmetry when you drive up to that house. Yeah, all right, it's 1997, but so what? It still provides a a much modern look of the property, of the complete property with that shed dormer. And I guess I agree with, I don't know, Sandy, I'm not a shed fan,
That's
you know.
That's me. Sandy likes them.
Sandy?
I'm the one who agrees with it.
Oh, okay, whoever said it. And it just, it just loses a bit. I mean, did you consider, a Nantucket dormers?
We did. In the study of 6, we started with larger gables, then we
Yes.
did Nantuckets, and then ended up on this. And each fought in its own way. I guess, you talk about a mole being different. To me, it's looking at a person that has 2 asymmetrical eyes. The 2 doghouses are not the same size and same proportion, and to me, that stands out and was kind of glaring.
Well, my famous comment that I always, when somebody complains about something, is it a showstopper? I'm just going to count my blessings and go away, It's not a showstopper for me, but I think I just would have preferred it differently. The symmetry when you pull up to the property. There's an old quintessential Cape, and then there's this modern garage. No matter how you slice it. I mean, you got a lot of windows there, got 6 windows and.
We do.
And, okay, yes.
Or Nancy, do you want to go next?
Go ahead. Okay.
Having visited it, I understand what the issues are that are being presented, but, and I agree. But one thing to take into consideration is the location. It's not going to affect the streetscape, because guess what? It took me 3 times to figure out how to get there. I went on Saturday, I went on Sunday, and finally I figured out how to get there on Monday morning, because I didn't keep going far enough on the first 2 days. But anyway, I don't think the streetscape is going to be an issue, and I think the fact that they're saving this historic home and want to have more of the view is more important than worrying about the shed dormers is my view.
Thank you.
I would agree with Frank that it's not a showstopper for me either. I think, as I mentioned, if you drove up and saw this finished thing, you'd say fabulous.
And when it's finished.
Also, there is
Yeah.
the boatscape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a,
There is a boatscape.
it's not a
Yeah, but-
streetscape issue, it's just.
A lot of boats go by there.
A lot of boats go by, but you know
Right.
what?
Well, by the way, we are, our authority is not just streetscape, it's also seascape, okay? How you see your property from the water versus how you see a property. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a street, it doesn't have to be on Main Street in order to be concerned
It'll be
about.
easier to find from the water than it will be from from the road.
Say that again?
It'll be easier to find from the water. It'll be easier to see from the water.
Well, I guess you got to get invited more often. I happen to know where it is, so you know to make that the turn, So, anyway, okay. I think we've discussed it, and there's
Excuse me,
certainly
Frank.
a consensus in the.
I just wanted to remind you, Robert Lear's online. You didn't
Yeah.
call on him.
Okay, sorry, Robert. Out of sight, out of mind.
No, that's okay. I'm not bashful. I did, in fact, grow up 2 houses over on Sears Point, so I've known this location for 75 years. But I have no problem with it. I understand the dormer, not controversy, but issue. But I think from the other point of view, there's some legitimacy to sort of setting off the new part of the building, not trying to claim that it's historic. And this is, as I think Leslie said, something it mimics, but not entirely, or something like that. And I think that's perfectly appropriate here.
Thank you. I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. We seem to be in violent agreement here, so we have certainly a majority, so we can entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that the Chatham Historical Commission finds that the proposed work to be done dated January 21st, 2025 will not materially diminish
Got it.
the historical significance of the building and located at 70 Sears Point Road, and therefore the commission does not impose a demolition delay.
Second.
Second, thank you very much. Any other comments? Any member of the public wish to speak for or against the application? Okay. Bob,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Steph,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Again, thank you very much for saving this lovely house enjoy it.
Thank you
You're
guys to the
welcome.
Shortens.
You'll all have to come back and see it.
Oh, we will. I'm going to wave to you as I sail by.
Sounds good. I look forward to it.
All right. Take care. Thank you. Welcome.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leslie. Okay, we have 5 minutes if we're going to break a record. Just very quickly, we have a few items we need to just briefly report on and discuss. From my perspective, get my papers in order. Under the new business that we had, the rules and regulations, there were 2 issues that we wanted to address, and I'm going to keep it on the agenda. The continued request for continuance by applicants, and the issue of the administrative approval process, to expand that process to address the issue of historical significance. Now, I have asked Katie Donovan, our Director of Community Development, and I'm going to be meeting with her after this meeting briefly, and we'll discuss it. She's requesting an opinion from Town Council over the process on how we can, how that legislatively the authority exists and what we could or could not do in our administrative review process to delegate that decision. So that's happening, okay? We have no applications for administrative approval at the present time. So stay tuned, we'll be discussing more next time. The next item, which is significant, well, it's significant from my perspective because I've been working on this thing for so long, excuse my French. The request for determination of eligibility of the William and Ann Nickerson Archaeological Site. You have a piece of correspondence, 2 pieces of correspondence in your email, which consist of a piece of correspondence from Bob Nickerson, who's the president of the Nickerson Family Association, to the Chatham Conservation Foundation on their disagreement with how they want to name it. Okay, your chair, myself, sent you a copy of that, hoping that we could reach a rapprochement, I guess the word is, between the two authorities. And I sent another letter out because I'm trying to move this thing along, and it just is a little bit frustrating, if not annoying to me, that I can't get these 2 organizations to sit down together and come to a conclusion, because this thing's dragging on since October, and we paid good money to do this work. I hate to see it wasted. So, but we do need the 2 significant parties, the Chatham Conservation Foundation and the Nickerson Family Association, to come up with an agreement. The fact that the Monomoic or Monomate homelands is part of it is fine. It seems to be what goes first, the chicken or the egg, okay? So all I can say to you is I'm hoping, and I shared my comments with the president of the Nickerson Foundation and with the Chatham Conservation Foundation, is come on, guys, this is not rocket science. Let's come to agreement. And quite honestly, I don't want to submit it without their concurrence, because we're probably, at some point, the Mass Historic is going to come back down and they're going to do a site visit. And so what does the owner think? Okay, so we have to have a consensus between the 2 parties. Yes?
Is there any way that the title of it could not say the Monomoyet, could not say the Historic Center, something?
We could call it the Frank Messina Memorial Dig or something, yeah, but, okay, but, it's important that the people who did the work, the Nickersons, and the people who own the property agree what we're going to call this thing, okay? And again, this is just a draft of a determination of eligibility. Mass Historic is going to come back and say yes or no. If they say no, well, all bets are off. If they say yes, then we have to go find some money to do an actual report. So this is a long way to go. This is not over. So,
Frank, can I,
Yes.
did you get an answer to your request?
no.
From Holly, Craig, and Chris for their thoughts on your?
Yes, I did get a request from I'm sorry, yeah, I did. I just got it. It was in my mail for Thursday or Wednesday night, and I was away. And she's basically said what I said, we should come to an agreement here, because she would not like to proceed unless we have an agreement. And she agrees, okay, we can have the Nixon, and you can have the term, the Monomoy homelands in the title, but right now, it's who goes first. So we have to resolve that. Okay, enough said. We're not going to resolve it. I'm just reporting to where we are. That's that. Just quickly, okay, I'm almost done. The return of the Coast Guard boathouse, it's looking like it's probably going to come back next fall, if things are proceeding the way it is. I haven't completed my comments on the Primrose, and I will shortly, and I will share it with the rest of the commission. And the only other item open is the 75 Hallway, the submission of that denial to Cape Cod Commission. Jay Briggs, the building commissioner, is preparing the documentation. Bob Lear today will be finishing a summary of our discussion, and that goes to Cape Cod Commission. I did have, just for complete information, everybody knows what's going on, I did have a brief conversation with Patrick Ahern after the meeting. Patrick Ahern was the architect. After we deny an application or put a demolition delay, the purpose is a delay to work with them, can we find a way to proceed? And I reminded Patrick, and he should remind Mr. Riley, that we worked very hard about 5 years ago and got a change to the zoning bylaw that allows a certain amount of forgiveness for a home that's historically significant. They get more coverage and setback, if you recall that. They could potentially use that, and I believe this commission, because we declared that 75 Hallway historically significant, could work with them. So they have other choices. Hopefully what's going to happen is that if we submit it to the Cape Cod Commission, they'll withdraw it and try to take another shot at it. That's the only thing I can say. We don't want to go to the Cape Cod Commission. All it does is make the attorneys very rich, or richer, okay? So that's where we are with that. Last but not least is the, I'm losing my notes. The Monomoy Theater property. I guess the ZBA meeting, they met before the ZBA last week.
Yes, originally, and I believe it's been continued, but I'm not
Was there a
sure.
decision?
There was, no, they asked for a continuance.
Continuance? Okay, well, we're talking about here is the fact that the Monomoy Theater property owners are asking to build 2 houses on the rear, and so we'll see where that goes. But there's really nothing to happen. I've got it. That's it, goes for me. Any other comments, questions from the public? No? Motion?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right. Any other comments? None? Bob?
All in favor?
Yes, thank you, Frank.
Nancy?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Robert? Stephen?
Yes.
Robert Wilson?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much. I think we broke a record.